Welcome back to the AB Scale Project. I'm Krager. This is Alpha Bravo. And I know what you're thinking. I've already covered the Bumblebee Studio Series Soundwave. But we're not worried about Soundwave. It's the prize inside we're going to look at. So the first thing we're looking at today is the Studio Series Ravage. And I thought I'd show you the stowed mode first. We'll focus on that and how it fits in there. And I will say it's a good thing that the Bumblebee Soundwave has a compartment that opens in the back, so you can press on the back and be able to wiggle this guy out. Alright. Now, one of the accessories he comes with is this tip here. I'm going to take it off here. Now, this does mount on Ravage, but it's really meant for Soundwave to go into the shoulder cannon, so that you can take that, pull it off, turn it into the handgun mode, and have a more G1 type gun. But for now, we'll just set that aside and let's look at Ravage himself. Now, as you can see, I'm going to call this a compact mode, not really a data storage mode. Looks more like something that Wally would spit out after collecting a bunch of garbage. But it works for a stowage mode. Alright, compare it to our current winner, the Masterpiece. And we see that it's a little smaller, in this direction. Yeah, a lot bigger in the thickness direction. Alright, we'll take a look at the Siege. Pretty similar size to the Siege in length and width. Again, thickness a lot different. But otherwise, that's it. Kind of just a compact box. Not even a full box, just because of so many empty spaces because of the limbs and such. But let's go ahead and transform it into his beast mode. And here we have Ravage in his beast mode. And he looks really good, actually. I mean, this works out pretty well. Pretty screen accurate. Like that face there. A little bit of chin stubble down there to look at. Pretty good. He comes with this little missile launcher on top and these side guns, which do fit into his compact mode and to be stowed in Soundwave's chest, so it works out really well. I mean, he's got lots of articulation in these limbs. This joint on mine is like super stiff. I mean, it does move eventually, but super stiff. I mean, for the most part, he can still move without it, but just really, really tight. Belly view. You can see how that thing goes together and where the missile launcher mounts in stowed mode. Otherwise, pretty neat. All right, here he is against the Masterpiece. Yep, come on. You see the Masterpiece, definitely more G1, where this is more the Bumblebee movie. Although this does have some hints of IDW in it, so like I think the chin hairs there is more of a IDW nod, like they did IDW nods with their Studio Series 38 Prime. But otherwise, side by side, look pretty good. Alright, take a look next to Siege. And we see Siege is just kind of pathetic next to it. So, we'll focus back on the Bumblebee. So, otherwise, he just looks really good. So, we'll bring the MP back in here, since our MP is our current winner for G1 IDW. Focus. Now, is this our new G1 IDW Ravage? I'm going to say no with a caveat. I still like the MP scale a bit better and the MP and the sleekness of the MP look. But should the MP not be available to you, this is a very acceptable substitute. I mean, just the posability, the scale is pretty close. So if you can't get the MP or any of the KOs of the MP, this is definitely an acceptable IDW solution. So, let's go on to our next one. Lastly, for today, we're going to look at the Studio Series Bumblebee Core Class Shockwave. And as you can see with our current winner, it's too short to really compete. So, we're not going to worry about it replacing G1 IDW. So, set that aside. But we'll look at this little guy. Now, this is a very compact Shockwave. I mean, it cleans up really well. And actually, one of the more complex core class that I've seen, as far as transformation wise. He does have a bunch of articulation. There's a lot of turning in the area, and some of that's for transformation, some of that's for posability. It doesn't have a gun hand, it just has a hand that you put a gun on. So that's a little disappointing. But otherwise, he does have a bunch of options. I mean, the only thing he's really missing is his ankle tilt. And, you know, more of a thigh swivel. But otherwise, pretty good. Like I said, having a gun arm or a gun in his arm instead of a gun arm is a little disappointing. Looks good from the front, not so much from the side. But otherwise, not a bad robot mode. I wish they'd made him, you know, Voyager class. But otherwise, not too bad for a little guy. Alright, let's look at his tank mode. And here we have the Shockwave in his tank mode. And very much a spider tank, similar to his Prime or animated toys. And the turret does go up and down, a little bit side to side based on the head articulation there. So, he points pretty well. No wheels to speak of, so he doesn't actually roll. I mean, but kind of from distance, you can imagine he's hovering with treads. But, you know, you kind of turn it. Yeah, it looks like a hover tank. But here you see the treads, so not too bad. Not a lot to it. I mean, you can tell, you know, legs here, arms here. I mean, if the hands weren't there, I mean, maybe you could convince me that this wasn't a robot. But otherwise, you know, not too terrible. And definitely one of the more elaborate transformations for a core class or a Legion class. Alright, let's go ahead and wrap this up. So, to wrap up, this guy definitely isn't going to replace, you know, IDW or G1 just because he's too short. But if you want a short little Shockwave, then go ahead and pick this one up. It's not a bad toy, just not a good scale. That's all we got for today. So, thanks for joining us today on the AB Scale Project. If there's a character you'd like to see, put your request in the comments below. Although, there aren't too many characters left. Please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, and I'll see y'all later.